Welcome to the Deep Dive, the show where we cut through the noise of the cloud and bring you the most impactful insights. In this incredibly fast-paced tech world, keeping truly informed can feel like, well, a full-time gig.
And that's exactly why we're here, right? Our mission is to give you that shortcut, pull out those crucial nuggets of knowledge so you don't just know what's new, but you genuinely get why it actually matters for your technical workloads.
Yeah, precisely. Today, we're diving deep into some of the most significant announcements from AWS, specifically covering updates released between June 30th and July 3rd, 2025. This past week has seen just a torrent of innovation, hasn't it? We're here to unpack the key developments that could directly influence your infrastructure, your applications, maybe even your strategic planning.
Absolutely. And you can expect, specific details. We're talking performance gains, cool new capabilities, expanded regional availability. Our focus is squarely on the technical side, the implications, and how these updates can help you actually optimize, secure, and scale your operations better.
All right, let's unpack this then. We're starting with what's often, right at the heart of any cloud strategy: compute powerhouse EC2, Fargate, and AI accelerators. These updates are really pushing the boundaries of performance and efficiency. First up, some seriously enhanced EC2 instances.
Exactly. So the big news here involves the Amazon EC2 R8G instances. They're now available in Asia Pacific, Seoul, and also Asia Pacific, Malaysia. Now, these are powered by AWS Graviton 4 processors. What's really interesting here isn't just like a routine performance bump. We're talking up to 30% better performance compared to their Graviton 3 predecessors.
30%, that's a pretty substantial jump, especially for those memory-intensive workloads like large databases, maybe in-memory caches, or real-time big data analytics.
Yeah, definitely. And the sources mentioned they now offer, get this, up to 3 times more vCPU in memory than the R7G. They go all the way up to a 48x large with 1.5 terabytes of memory.
Wow, 1.5 terabytes. So what's driving those significant gains beyond just the Graviton 4 chip itself?
Well, a big part of it is the AWS Nitro system that underpins them. That provides enhanced performance and security right down to the bare metal options. It basically lets them offload a lot of the virtualization overheads so the Graviton 4 can really, stretch its legs.
Okay.
So for things like web applications, big databases, large Java applications, you could be looking at anywhere from 30% to maybe 45% faster performance. Plus, you get 50 GBPs networking and 40 GBPs EBS bandwidth, which are pretty serious numbers for data-heavy tasks.
Okay, serious indeed. Shifting gears a bit to networking beasts. The Amazon EC2 CAGN instances are now generally available in US East and Virginia and US West, Oregon.
All right.
Also Graviton 4 powered, right? Offering up to 30% better compute than C7GN. But what really makes these ones stand out?
The CHEN. Yeah, this thing is a monster when it comes to networking. It hits, an astounding 600 GBPs network bandwidth.
That's 600.
600, which is the highest among network-optimized EC2 instances right now. I mean, to put that in perspective, that's like having the data throughput of nearly 60 standard enterprise network connections all at once.
Okay, wow.
So this makes them an absolute game changer for anything that lives or dies by network speed. Think high throughput data analytics or those really demanding network virtual appliances. They even support elastic fabric adapter, EFA, on the larger sizes for those tightly coupled clusters.
Impressive stuff. Now let's talk containers. We've got an important update for AWS Fargate SOCI Index Manifest v2 support. So first, what exactly is SOCI? And why does this Manifest v2 thing matter for Amazon ECS customers?
Right, SOCI. It stands for Seekable OCI, and it's actually a pretty clever trick that changes how containers launch.
Right.
Imagine streaming a movie. You don't wait for the entire file to download before you start watching, right? SOCI does basically the same thing for your container images. It lets the critical parts of the container start executing before the full image is pulled down. This can dramatically speed up task launches, especially if you've got larger images running on Amazon ECS. It really helps deployment consistency.
Makes sense. And Manifest v2.
Yeah, so Manifest v2 just uses a stronger cryptographic method for integrity, making sure everything's consistent. And importantly, it's now the default. So AWS is kind of pushing everyone towards this better, more reliable method. If you're still on v1, they recommend upgrading.
Faster container launches, better reliability, always welcome. Okay, let's pivot slightly within compute to AWS Neuron 2.24. This is all about accelerating AML inference and training. What's new here for folks building with deep learning models?
Neuron 2.24 is now generally available, and it brings some significant features and performance boosts for deploying deep learning models on AWS Inferentia and Trainium instances. Key updates include support for PyTorch 2.7 and some really interesting advanced inference features like prefix caching. This helps get a faster time to first token, or TTFT.
Okay, key TFT. You mentioned that. Can you break down why that specific metric, time to first token, is such a big deal for someone building, say, a real-time conversational AI application?
Oh, that's a fantastic point. Yeah, for conversational AI, TTFT directly translates to how quickly the user perceives the AI responding. A faster TTFT means the first words appear almost instantly, right? It makes the whole interaction feel much more natural, less like you're, waiting for a computer to think.
Right, reduces that awkward pause.
Exactly. It dramatically reduces user frustration and just enhances the overall experience. Neuron 2.24 also brings something called disaggregated inference, which helps reduce interference between prefill and decode stages, and context parallelism for better performance on really long sequences. That's critical for the latest large language models.
Interesting.
Plus, there's support for Q 2.5 text models and improved Hugging Face integration. So basically, if you're building with AML on AWS, these advancements mean you can speed up your model training and inference, improve efficiency, and just simplify deploying those demanding Gen AI workloads.
Very cool. Okay, moving on. Let's explore database and storage evolution. We're focusing here on how you can manage your data more flexibly with better scale, consistency, and capture capabilities, starting with Amazon Aurora.
Absolutely. First off, Amazon Aurora PostgreSQL Compatible Edition. It now supports a massive maximum storage limit of 256 terabytes.
256. Wow, that's double the previous limit.
Exactly, double the previous 128 TB. And the beauty here is you only pay for the storage you actually consume, and it scales up automatically. So this is a huge deal for anyone managing truly colossal data sets. No more manual provisioning worries for storage size, at least up to 256 TB.
That takes a lot of pressure off. And for those needing truly distributed SQL, Amazon Aurora DSQL has expanded its availability. What does this offer for customers really pushing the limits of global data consistency?
Right. So the expansion of Aurora DSQL to Asia-Pacific SOL and also enabling multi-region clusters within Asia-Pacific and European regions is really about offering true global-scale database operations. It gives you active high availability and multi-region strong consistency.
Strong consistency across regions. That's tough.
It is. And this means virtually unlimited scalability with zero infrastructure management. So for applications that absolutely demand always-on availability and need the latest data accessible from any region, this removes a massive operational barrier.
Okay, zero ETL. That's a bit of a buzzword. Now, Aurora MySQL and RDS for MySQL have zero ETL integration with Amazon SageMaker. Why is this so significant for analytics and ML workloads?
Oh, this is huge. It basically enables near real-time data availability for your analytics and machine learning projects. It automatically extracts and loads data from your MySQL tables directly into your lakehouse.
No more complex pipelines.
Well, much simpler ones, at least for this integration. The data lands in Apache Iceberg format, which means it supports various analytics tools, and it includes fine-grained access controls. Think about it. Less time spent building and managing ETL, more time for actual analysis and model building. It bridges that operational analytical gap.
That's a major efficiency gain. And for capturing real-time data changes, we have Amazon Keyspaces for Apache Cassandra, Change Data Capture, CDC streams. What kind of event-driven applications does this unlock?
This is a really powerful addition for Keyspaces users. You can now capture row-level changes, so inserts, updates, deletes in near real time.
Okay.
This enables a whole host of things. Event-driven applications, real-time data analytics feeding dashboards, continuous ML model training based on fresh data, robust data backups. And it's all serverless, doesn't impact your table capacity, and it keeps the data stream around for up to 24 hours. So for anyone needing to react instantly when data changes in their Cassandra-compatible tables, this is a big deal.
Definitely sounds like it. Let's shift focus now to MLL and analytics, intelligence across the board. These updates seem all about delivering smarter insights and enabling faster development cycles. Kicking us off, Amazon Q Business Response Customization. What does this mean for organizations using Q Business?
Yeah, this is all about giving you control and ensuring consistency. Organizations can now precisely tailor how their key business applications generate and format responses. We're talking about things like the AI's identity or persona, the tone of voice, the output style, even the length and level of detail.
So you can make it sound like your company.
Exactly. It's about ensuring your generative AI assistant communicates consistently and aligns perfectly with your brand voice or internal communication guidelines. It integrates with the existing admin controls, too.
That's a deep level of control. Okay, and for AI-powered image generation, Amazon Nova Canvas adds virtual try-on and style options. How does this enhance the user experience, practically speaking?
This makes AI image generation much more practical for specific use cases. The virtual try-on feature allows for realistic visualization of products, say clothing on a person or furniture in the room. You can upload 2 images, and Nova Canvas creates these realistic visualizations. Think e-commerce or interior design, super useful.
I can see that.
And the style options let you apply consistent artistic styles like photorealism or maybe a 3D animated film look across multiple images without having to repeat complex text prompts every time. It significantly streamlines that creative workflow.
Streamlining is good. Now, for building more trustworthy AI applications, a really important topic, Citations API and PDF support for Claude models are now on Amazon Bedrock. Why is trustworthiness such a critical keyword here?
Trustworthiness is absolutely paramount for AI adoption, right? Especially in business contexts. The Citations API directly addresses that. It allows the Claude models to ground their answers in specific source documents you provide. It gives detailed references right down to the exact sentences and passages it used to formulate the answer.
So you can verify its claims.
Precisely. This is critical for applications that require high accuracy and transparency. And coupled with that, the new PDF support means Claude models can now extract text, analyze charts, even understand visual content directly from PDF documents. This really expands its ability to process complex, real-world documents that often contain, mixed media types.
That PDF capability sounds incredibly useful. Okay, when it comes to really large-scale foundation model training, Amazon's SageMaker Hyperpod training operator is now generally available. What specific problem does this solve for those deep learning engineers?
This is a purpose-built Kubernetes extension designed specifically for making foundation model training more resilient. The key feature they're highlighting is surgical recovery.
Surgical recovery.
Yeah, it means if one part of the distributed training job fails, it only restarts the affected resources, not the entire, often incredibly long and expensive training job from scratch. This alone, they claim, can decrease training time by potentially up to 40%.
Wow, that's significant.
It really is. It also features customizable monitoring for hanging jobs, helping overcome common issues like stalled GPUs or those pesky non-numeric loss values. So for anyone training those multi-billion parameter models, this significantly enhances resilience and efficiency. It makes those massive training runs less prone to failure.
Makes sense. Moving to broader analytics capacity, Amazon QuickSight now supports 2 billion row SPICY datasets. That sounds like a lot of data.
It really is. QuickSight Enterprise Edition has doubled its SPICY dataset capacity. SPICY is their in-memory engine up to 2 billion rows. And importantly, they say this is without impacting ingestion or query performance.
So, same speed, more data.
That's the claim. This allows for much deeper historical analysis and broader data exploration within QuickSight. It enables the discovery of potentially new business insights from truly massive data sets. For data professionals using QuickSight, this basically means you can ask bigger questions of your data directly in the tool.
Very nice. And for those looking to maybe dip their toes into serverless analytics or perhaps have smaller workloads, Amazon Redshift Serverless now offers a 4 RPU minimum capacity option. Is AWS essentially saying, look, no analytics workload is too small for Redshift Serverless now?
Pretty much. Yeah, it feels like they're rolling out the welcome mat for smaller production workloads and, importantly, development and testing environments. It lets you get started without the potentially higher entry cost of the previous minimums.
How low does it go?
You can now start with Redshift Serverless at a base capacity of just 4 RPUs, which brings the entry cost down to as low as $1.50 per hour. It still supports up to 32 TB of storage at that level. So yeah, it makes serverless Redshift much more accessible and cost-effective for a much wider range of use cases.
Okay, good option to have. Let's shift gears now to connectivity and data transfer. Reaching further, more securely, we're talking about extending your network reach and simplifying large-scale data movement. First up, some network reach and performance enhancements.
Right. So AWS Global Accelerator now supports application endpoints in Mexico, Central, and Asia Pacific Malaysia. This expands its global reach out to 31 regions now.
So, better global reach.
Exactly. This improves the availability, the security, and importantly, the performance of your internet-facing applications. It does this by leveraging AWS's own congestion-free global network. Plus, you get those benefits like static IPs, built-in DDoS protection, and deterministic failover across regions. So for anyone with a global user base, this means better performance and higher resilience for your apps in those new regions.
And for optimizing web performance right at the edge, Amazon CloudFront now supports HTTPS DNS records. How exactly does this make web applications faster and more secure?
Okay, so CloudFront now supports these specific HTTPS resource records within Amazon Route 53. It's a subtle change, but it can be quite impactful for performance. It essentially allows the DNS system to provide information like supported HTTP protocol versions and port numbers before an actual HTTP connection is even attempted by the client.
So it saves a step.
Yeah, it reduces the number of round trips needed to establish the connection. This improves application performance, shaving off milliseconds, and enhances security, especially for newer protocols like HTTP3, which really benefit from this earlier negotiation. It's about making that crucial initial connection just a little bit faster and smoother.
Every millisecond counts online. Okay, now for something a bit different, for anyone dealing with truly massive, petabyte scale data transfers, there's a very interesting physical announcement. The AWS Data Transfer Terminal in Munich.
Yeah, this is pretty cool. It's AWS's first data transfer terminal located outside the United States, situated within the Equinix MU1 data center in Germany. It's literally a physical location where customers can securely and quickly upload enormous amounts of data. Yes, we're talking potentially petabytes from their own storage devices directly into AWS services like S3 and EFS.
So you physically ship drives there.
Or bring them. It uses a dedicated high-throughput network connection right there at the terminal. So for organizations with massive on-premises data archives they need to move, or for large initial cloud migrations, this can slash the data transfer time from potentially weeks down to literally minutes or hours. It's basically a high-speed on-ramp for huge data sets in Europe.
A physical data pipe. Interesting. Okay, moving on to contact center and business workflow innovations. We're seeing enhancements aimed at both customer and agent experiences with a whole suite of Amazon Connect upgrades. One really stands out for global operations. Amazon Q in Connect now supports 7 languages for proactive recommendations.
This is definitely a huge step for global customer service teams using Connect. The generative AI-powered assistant, Amazon Q in Connect, which helps agents in real time, now offers its proactive recommendations in Spanish, French, Portuguese, Mandarin, Japanese, and Korean, in addition to the existing English support.
How does it do that?
It detects the customer's intent during the voice or chat interaction, regardless of the language from that list, and then provides real-time, context-aware assistance and suggested responses to the agent, also in the appropriate language. This makes sophisticated AI assistance accessible across a much wider linguistic landscape, making global customer service potentially more efficient and consistent.
That's incredibly useful for multinational companies. And for disaster recovery and global resilience, specifically within Amazon Connect, we now have instance replication between Asia-Pacific, Tokyo, and Asia-Pacific, Osaka. How does this enhance business continuity for contact centers?
This is a really important feature for resilience. It allows contact centers operating primarily out of, say, the Tokyo region to maintain a fully synchronized standby Amazon Connect instance in the Osaka region. It replicates all the configurations, flows, users, queues, everything.
So it's a hot standby.
Essentially, yes. And you can predefine traffic distribution settings for specific user groups or phone numbers to automatically shift over or fail over between the regions if there's a disaster or major issue impacting the primary Tokyo instance. So if Tokyo has a problem, your contact center operations can continue running out of Osaka, ensuring customers can still reach you. It's crucial for business continuity.
Makes sense, especially for critical services. All right, our last major category for this deep dive is security, governance, and resilience. This is all about building trust and stability in your AWS environment. Let's start with enhanced visibility and compliance features.
Okay, a really critical update here, I think, is that the Amazon CloudWatch Put Metric Data API now supports AWS CloudTrail data event logging. What this means is CloudWatch now captures the API activities related to putting metrics in, put metric data, getting stats out, get metric statistics, and listing metrics, list metrics as CloudTrail events.
So you can see who did what with your metrics.
Exactly. Think of it like this. Previously, knowing who specifically pushed a certain metric value or when someone pulled statistics could sometimes be a bit of a black box unless you built custom logging. Now, it's fully auditable through CloudTrail. This gives you complete visibility into metric ingestion and egress, which is huge for security investigations, operational troubleshooting, and even for financial management or chargeback, identifying the requester, their IP address, and the time.
That level of auditing is absolutely vital for compliance and security. And speaking of compliance, AWS config rules now add classifications from the AWS Control Tower Control Catalog. How does this simplify compliance efforts for organizations using Control Tower?
It significantly streamlines how you assess compliance. AWS config rules can now be directly mapped to common compliance frameworks, things like CIS benchmarks, v8.0, FedRAMP Provision 4, NIST CSF, v1.1. It leverages the classifications already defined in the Control Tower Control Catalog, like domain, objective, and common controls.
So it connects the dots.
Precisely. It provides a much more unified experience for assessing, auditing, and evaluating your resource configurations against these industry standards. It makes demonstrating adherence to specific regulations much more straightforward because the mapping is done for you within the AWS tools.
That sounds like a real time saver for audit prep. Finally, in the resilience space, we have updates to ARC zonal autoship practice runs. This sounds like a powerful tool for actually testing your application's preparedness for failures.
It truly is. ARC stands for AWS Resilience Hub Application Components, and Zonal Autoshift is designed to temporarily shift traffic away from an availability zone. The update is that these practice runs can now be triggered on demand whenever you need to validate your application's preparedness for an AZ failure, not just on a schedule.
Okay, on-demand testing. What else?
Even better, it now includes a balanced capacity pre-check for your application load balancers, network load balancers, and EC2 autoscaling groups before it even attempts a practice run shift. This pre-check verifies that you actually have enough balanced capacity deployed in the other AZs to handle the shifted load.
So it checks before it leaps.
Exactly. If the pre-check fails because capacity isn't balanced, it alerts you before initiating the shift. It's like having a built-in pre-flight checklist for your resilience strategy. It helps you proactively identify and fix potential capacity imbalances, making your application genuinely more resilient, rather than just finding out during a real failure or even a practice run failure.
Well, that's smart. Proactive resilience. Wow, okay, we've covered a really remarkable range of updates this week. Everything from fundamental compute and database enhancements to cutting-edge AI services, critical security features, and even powerful business automation tools like those EDI updates we didn't dive deep on but were also released. This is a clear demonstration of just how rapidly the cloud landscape is evolving.
Absolutely. And our goal here with the deep dive is always to help you stay ahead, to help you understand the nuances and the real implications of these changes without getting totally lost in the sheer volume of information AWS puts out. We aim to equip you with the knowledge that directly impacts your technical decisions, your architecture, and ultimately your ability to innovate.
Yeah, definitely. So as you, our listeners, consider these advancements, maybe ask yourself, how might these specific new capabilities, maybe that faster Graviton instance or the Zero ETL integration or the Q business customization, how might they reshape your existing architectures? Or, maybe more excitingly, could they enable entirely new solutions or features that you hadn't considered possible even just last week?
That's the key question, isn't it? What new efficiencies or innovations could these updates unlock for your specific workloads, your projects, starting this week? Keep exploring, keep building, keep asking those questions, and, we'll be here next time to take another deep dive into what's new and what really matters in the world of AWS.